Right now, somewhere in a Costco warehouse, someone is buying a rotisserie chicken every 5 seconds. Not every 5 minutes, every 5 seconds. That's roughly 300 chickens a minute, every single hour the store is open in every Costco on Earth. And here's the number that should stop you in your tracks. That chicken costs $4.99. It has cost $4.99 since 2009. Before that, it was $5.99. Since the Clinton administration was wrapping up, basically, the price of a Costco rotisserie chicken has barely moved, while the price of literally everything else around it, gas, eggs, your rent, has gone up and up and up. If you adjusted that 1990s chicken price for inflation today, it should cost you north of $11. Costco sells it for under $5. So either Costco has discovered some kind of poultry alchemy nobody else on Earth knows about, or something much stranger is going on. And the truth is so much wilder than they just found a good chicken supplier. This is a story about a CEO who threatened to kill his own boss over a hot dog. It's a story about Costco building an entire chicken farm from scratch just to control one product. And it's a story about a psychological trick so effective, it's quietly extracting more money out of your wallet than you have ever realized. Every single time you walk in for just one chicken. By the end of this video, you will never look at that spinning rotisserie case the same way again. Let's start with the raw math, because this is where the story gets interesting fast. A Costco chicken weighs roughly 3 pounds, pre-cooked, pre-seasoned, packed in that resealable bag. To raise the bird, slaughter it, season it, roast it, package it, refrigerate it, staff the rotisserie station, and ship it to the store. Industry estimates have put the real cost of producing that chicken at somewhere around $6 to $7 per bird. Sit with that for a second. Costco is selling you a product for $4.99 that costs them somewhere around $6 to $7 to make. That's not a thin margin. That's not barely breaking even. That is Costco voluntarily losing roughly $2 on every single chicken they sell. Now, multiply that. In 2025, Costco sold roughly 154.7 million rotisserie chickens worldwide. If they're losing even $1 to $2 per bird, that's a company deliberately, knowingly, year after year, eating losses in the tens of millions of dollars, by some estimates as high as $30 to $40 million annually, on one single product. A normal business would panic. A normal business would quietly raise the price by 50 cents and hope nobody noticed. Costco has done the opposite. They have held this price for over 15 years, through a financial crisis, through a pandemic, through the worst grocery inflation in 40 years. So, here's the real question this video is actually about. Why would one of the largest retailers on the planet deliberately keep bleeding money on a product they could easily make profitable with a tiny price bump nobody would even complain about? The answer has a name. And once you understand it, you'll start seeing it everywhere. Not just at Costco. The strategy is called a loss leader, and the concept, once you hear it, is almost embarrassingly simple. A loss leader is a product a store deliberately prices below its actual cost, sometimes way below, specifically to get you to walk through the door. The store isn't trying to make money on that one item. The store is using that item as bait. The real profit comes from everything else you buy once you're already inside, cart in hand, walking past aisle after aisle of stuff you didn't plan to buy. And the chicken isn't even Costco's only loss leader. There's a second, equally famous example sitting right next to it in Costco mythology. The $1.50 hot dog and soda combo at the food court. That price has not moved since the 1980s. Not the 1990s. The 1980s. There's a legendary story inside Costco about exactly how locked in that price is. Former CEO Craig Jelinek once told the story himself. Early in his career, he went to Costco's co-founder Jim Sinegal and said something like, "Jim, we can't keep selling this hot dog for $1.50. We're losing our shirts on it." And Senegal's reply, according to Jelinek, was blunt almost to the point of being funny. "If you raise the effing hot dog, I will kill you." That's not boardroom language. That's a founder treating a $1.50 hot dog like it's sacred. And weirdly, that's exactly the point. The hot dog and the chicken aren't just products anymore. They've become symbols, physical proof, every single time you buy one that Costco is keeping a promise to never rip you off, no matter what inflation is doing to the rest of the economy. Here's the part most people miss, though. Costco doesn't actually need either of these products to be profitable on their own, because Costco's entire business model is built on a completely different revenue stream sitting quietly in the background: your membership fee. This is the part that changes how you see the entire warehouse. Costco is not really, fundamentally, a grocery company. Costco is a membership company that happens to sell groceries. Think about it from the accounting side. Every single year, tens of millions of households pay Costco somewhere between $60 and well over $100 just for the privilege of being allowed to shop there. That membership fee, collected up front, before you've bought a single item, is essentially pure profit once Costco covers its operating costs. A massive chunk of Costco's actual net income, historically the majority of it, comes directly from membership fees, not from markups on the products on the shelf. Once you understand that, the rotisserie chicken stops looking insane and starts looking like genius. Costco doesn't need the chicken to turn a profit. The chicken's entire job is to get you to renew that membership every single year, and to get you to walk into the building as often as possible while that membership is active. Brand strategist Riley Newman summed up exactly this dynamic. Costco's actual profitability comes from membership fees, and loss leaders like the chicken work specifically to provide visible value to members while quietly increasing how often and how much they shop. So here's the mental model worth holding on to for the rest of this video. Every time you buy a $4.99 chicken, you are not really buying a chicken. You are renewing your trust in the membership you already paid for. And trust, it turns out, is one of the most profitable things a retailer can sell. But trust alone doesn't explain everything. There's a second force at work here, one that has almost nothing to do with chicken, and everything to do with how your brain works. E.T. Intuit. Here's where this stops being a story about chicken and becomes a story about you. There's a well-documented psychological principle called reciprocity, popularized by psychologist Robert Cialdini. The core idea is simple. When someone gives you something that clearly feels generous, more than you expected, more than the transaction seemed to call for, your brain quietly registers an unspoken debt. You don't consciously think, "I owe Costco something," but your behavior shifts anyway. You become more receptive, more trusting, more willing to say yes to the next thing. That's exactly what the $4.99 chicken is engineered to do. It's not just cheap, it's aggressively, almost suspiciously cheap, in a way your brain immediately flags as, "This company is being generous with me." And that feeling doesn't stay contained to the chicken. It bleeds into how you feel about every other price tag in the store. If they're willing to lose money on this, you reason, subconsciously, then their other prices must be fair too. Trustworthy. A good deal. There's also a simpler, more mechanical psychology at play: foot traffic and basket size. Nobody walks into Costco, grabs exactly one rotisserie chicken, and walks straight back out to the car. It almost never happens. You're already there. You're already pushing a giant cart built to hold an enormous volume of stuff. So you grab the chicken, and then, because you're standing 2 aisles from the bakery and 4 aisles from the wine section, and you remember you're out of paper towels anyway, you load up the cart with a dozen other things you hadn't necessarily planned on buying that day. Marketing analysts who study loss leaders point out this exact mechanism. Getting a customer physically into the store is half the entire battle. Once they're inside, basket size does the rest of the work almost automatically. The chicken's real job was never to make money. Its job was to get you and your cart deep into the warehouse. And it's not subtle either. It's deliberate by design. The rotisserie chickens are almost never near the front entrance. They're positioned toward the back of the store, the same logic supermarkets use when they put milk and eggs as far from the door as possible. You have to walk past everything to get to the bargain. So, by the time you reach checkout, here's what's actually happened. You saved maybe $2 or $3 on a chicken that genuinely costs more to make than what you paid. And in the process of getting that deal, you very likely spent $50, $80, $150 on everything else you encountered along the way. The loss leader did exactly its job. You feel like you won. Here's the part of this story that proves Costco isn't just tolerating losses on chicken. They're engineering around them at an industrial scale most people never hear about. Around 2019, Costco did something almost no retailer does. They built their own, fully vertically integrated chicken supply chain from scratch. A massive poultry complex in Nebraska, feed mill, hatchery, processing plant, the works, built specifically so Costco could control every single stage of getting a chicken from egg to your shopping cart, without paying outside suppliers their markup at each step. This is a critical detail, because it tells you something most people get wrong about this whole story. Costco isn't just eating a loss and shrugging. They are actively, aggressively trying to shrink that loss at the production level year after year through sheer operational control, while keeping the sticker price to you frozen at $4.99 no matter what. The price you see is the stable part. The cost engineering happening behind the scenes is where all the real complexity lives. And here's a telling detail about how protective Costco has become over the actual financials. Back in 2015, Costco's CFO openly told the public the company was losing somewhere around $30 to $40 million a year keeping the chicken at $4.99. But by 2019, when journalists asked Costco's senior vice president of fresh foods, Jeff Lyons, the exact same question, "Does the company still lose money on this chicken?" he simply declined to answer. That silence is itself a data point. It suggests one of two things. Either the vertical integration in Nebraska has changed the math enough that Costco doesn't want to reveal whether they're now closer to break even, or the numbers have shifted in a direction sensitive enough that the company would rather just not talk about it publicly anymore. Either way, the chicken has gone from openly acknowledged charitable loss to closely guarded competitive secret, which tells you exactly how seriously Costco takes this $4.99 price point as a strategic asset, not just a nice gesture. Here's the thing. Once you see this pattern at Costco, you start noticing it absolutely everywhere. Printer manufacturers will practically give away the printer itself, sometimes pricing it below their own manufacturing cost, because they know the real profit lives in the ink cartridges you'll be buying for years afterward. And ink, broken down by volume, can cost more per gallon than premium spirits. Banks offer free checking accounts with no monthly fees, because getting you into their ecosystem as a customer is the real prize. The profit comes later through credit cards, loans, overdraft fees, and every other financial product they'll eventually sell you once you're already a loyal customer. Streaming services, gyms, even some grocery store milk and egg pricing. All of it follows the same underlying logic Costco perfected with that chicken. Get you in the door with something that feels like an unbeatable deal. Let trust and convenience do the rest of the work, quietly, in the background, every time you come back. The lesson isn't that these companies are scamming you exactly. The chicken is genuinely a great deal. You really are getting underpriced food. But the deal was never really about the chicken in isolation. It was about engineering a relationship where you trust the brand enough to bring your entire wallet through the door, again and again. For, here's the thing. Once you see this pattern at Costco, you start noticing it absolutely everywhere. Printer manufacturers will practically give away the printer itself, sometimes pricing it below their own manufacturing cost, because they know the real profit lives in the ink cartridges you'll be buying for years afterward. And ink, broken down by volume, can cost more per gallon than premium spirits. Banks offer free checking accounts with no monthly fees, because getting you into their ecosystem as a customer is the real prize. The profit comes later, through credit cards, loans, overdraft fees, and every other financial product they'll eventually sell you once you're already a loyal customer. Streaming services, gyms, even some grocery store milk and egg pricing. All of it follows the same underlying logic Costco perfected with that chicken. Get you in the door with something that feels like an unbeatable deal. Let trust and convenience do the rest of the work, quietly, in the background, every time you come back. The lesson isn't that these companies are scamming you exactly. The chicken is genuinely a great deal. You really are getting underpriced food. But the deal was never really about the chicken in isolation. It was about engineering a relationship where you trust the brand enough to bring your entire wallet through the door, again and again. For the math says Costco won bigger.